beep, 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 beep. I can do this all morning. Beep, 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 beep.
Get up and film the 150th episode.
Code monkey like Fritos. Code monkey like Tab and Mountain Dew. Code monkey, very simple man with big, warm, fuzzy secret heart. Code monkey like you. Code monkey like you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's me, the Media Raptor, and welcome to the 150th episode of the Media Raptor Reviews. Not only that, it's also a special episode of Reaction and Review with the Media Raptor. You guys, 150 episodes. Yeah! Guys, when I started, I didn't think I would really get that far. I didn't think I'd make it to 25 episodes, to 50, to 75, to 100, 125. But that's what my success on this channel has been based on. Is doubting myself. Realizing I'm that pathetic, that I will keep doing this. Okay, no, not that. It's the fact that, to me, the victories in this channel, you take small steps and eventually you get there. But I wouldn't be here, you guys, if it wasn't for all of you. All of you are amazing. You're cool too, Scorch, just so you know, bro. Why do I talk to him? He can't speak. Anyhow, you guys, what kind of movie are we gonna watch to celebrate the 150th episode of the Media Raptor Reviews? Well, a 1989 sequel to one of my favorite movies. I'm talking, of course, about The Toxic Avenger Part II. Yes. You guys, we're watching Toxic Avenger Part II. If you guys don't remember, the 50th episode of the Media Raptor Reviews was The Toxic Avenger, wherein things were crazy. I'd already seen it at that point, but didn't stop me from reviewing it and thinking, my gosh, this movie is amazing, and it's in such a so bad it's good movie, and I really want to see the others. Well, guess what? Now we're watching the sequel. I know nothing about this movie, which is probably a good thing, other than he goes to Tokyo. And I read the back once or twice, but look, it doesn't really, it does not say that much, just he's going to Tokyo and things are gonna get weird. But I do know this. It's directed by Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Harris, who sadly is not with us anymore. Alright, it has the original OG2 directing this. And did they also write it? They produced it, they directed it. Who wrote it? Not them, but you get my point. We're with the people who have made some of the best bad movies to date. And you guys, if you haven't noticed, I love B-movies. I love Sharknado, man. I have an autographed DVD of Sharknado. It's autographed by the entire cast, crew, written staff, director, even some of the special effects guys. That's how much I love bad movies. And The Toxic Avenger is the king of all bad movies. So, I really want to know if The Toxic Avenger Part II can continue the trend of the craziness of The Toxic Avenger. So what say we kick back, relax, and check out The Toxic Avenger Part II. So, we're like a minute into this movie after the credits.
To their principal activities of dancing in the streets, tattooing.
This is so weird.
Manufacturing orange juice,
Like, this movie's amazing.
exterminating vermin,
I will say that the one thing that's different already is,
Watching excellent movies
of course, they're being self-referential.
and dancing in the streets.
The Toxic Avenger, his voice is drastically different compared to the first movie. Not complaining, it's just something I noticed right away. Okay, you guys, I was kind of wondering after seeing Poultrygeist if this movie was gonna be as insensitive, as tasteless, as overall just, I don't know, like just as wrong as that movie was. We just had a nursing home for the blind blow up that organized croquet games and had rooftop nature walks. What do you think? Well, I think we're about to see the Toxic Avenger for the first time in this movie. Apocalypse Incorporated. Are you even trying to be subtle? Wait, what am I talking about? This is Trauma. The movie which had a home for the blind blow up.
Apocalypse Incorporated. We do not shrink at setbacks.
I love this movie so much. So we're about 40 minutes into an hour and 40-minute movie, and he's still not in Japan yet. To a lot of people, that could be a problem. This movie has somehow got it to work where everything leading up to it is so entertaining that you don't care. And I have been laughing so hard throughout the entire movie. So I just saw the Toxic Avenger use nuclear breath, I guess, to essentially boil a man alive in a hot tub. And it's still going. And it is every bit as ridiculous as you would hope it would be. This movie's awesome! This movie is so culturally insensitive and racist on so many levels, but oh man, this movie's amazing. Why is this movie so great? So I have no idea where this movie's going from here, but I do know this. At least I have a feeling that a lot of the Japanese actors, when they speak English, either it's intentional or they got someone else to do the dubbing. They sound nothing alike, and it's actually kind of hilarious. Granted, that fits the tone of this entire movie, as it being just a ridiculous, goofy, over-the-top superhero movie. Yeah. Okay, the Toxic Avenger is now fighting a ninja with nunchucks with fish nunchucks. Literal dead fish tied together. This movie is making me very uncomfortable right now. We have the Toxic Avenger fighting a grown man in a sumo outfit, essentially, in the middle of a street with people watching. I'm very unsettled by this, and yet it's enjoyable. Well, that was the Toxic Avenger Part II. That was amazing! Oh, okay. Okay, I don't even know where to start with this movie. Let's start with the writing, which is the movie's greatest part. It was, I wonder... It took 5 years from the first Toxic Avenger to the second Toxic Avenger. And it's also been like about a year or so since I watched the first one. I've just been busy with other stuff, but I want to get back. I want to watch it again, and now more than ever, I want to watch it again. This movie, the humor often came from a very slapstick style humor, And the story was pretty basic. It was about, him getting his powers, getting revenge, and then having to stop an evil corporation. This one, the Toxic Avenger Part II, in some ways, is actually better than the Toxic Avenger. I know. See, this one thing which Troma does, and does incredibly well, is satire. And that's apparent in both these movies with their take on big business. Big business is trying to ruin a small town. And, well, this one, in the first one, it was kind of a joke. Like, they were bad guys, but they also were quite cartoonish. This one, the bad guys are called Apocalypse Inc., and literally at one point say, yes, of course, even for comic book style villains like us, we know that. They are literally the equivalent of the mustache-twirling bad guys you would see in those nature PSAs and stuff like Captain Planet or whatever. Imagine that in an R-rated version. The Toxic Avenger Part II, in a lot of ways, is essentially an R-rated episode of Captain Planet, and it's amazing. While there is a lot of amazing slapstick humor, this one also has a lot of great sight gags and actual jokes. Like I mentioned before, there's the Home for the Blind, where Toxie's working with his girlfriend, and he's organizing croquet games and roof nature walks. Yeah. I should give you a heads up, though. If you're new to Troma, you need to know this. They do not give a crap about anyone. They will offend everyone. The people who from South Park actually worked with them before, Troma has gone out of their way. It was recently their 40th anniversary, so they wrote 40 years of disrupting media. That's what they're all about. And that's what makes them so fun, is a lot of movies nowadays will tell one or two jokes and you're like, wow, did they just do that? But they don't have the guts to go all the way with it. Troma movies have the balls to go find the line, cross it, and never look back. Part of that has to do with this was made in the 80s before all this SJW and all this whole, we need to be super, super clean bullcrap happened and completely ruined everything. Looking at you, YouTube. Granted, I don't really like being rude in the first place, but movies like this are a rarity nowadays, and when you find one, it's amazing. And the amazing thing is, Troma's still making movies like this. Looking at you, Return to Nukem High. So the story, once again, it's pretty basic. It's Toxie, he is going to Japan to try and find his father because his psychiatrist who's working with Apocalypse Inc., I'm sorry, you can't say that name and not smile, told him to because, they want to open a chemical plant. That's literally it. It's an hour and 40-minute movie of him just kind of going around, killing people, and trying to find his dad. Now, this does lead to one of the problems with the movie. Not as much a problem for me, but might be a problem for other people. This movie is very much based in action, humor, and fight scenes. There is barely any plot in this, much like the first one. But in this one, he spends a good deal of time just kind of walking around or doing pretty much nothing. Granted, in that time, they're telling jokes and having fun sight gags, but I know people who really get annoyed when there's long scenes of essentially monotonous nothing happening. Does monotonous mean nothing? I don't know. But it's very much a movie that if you want a very good story and all that, why are you even looking at Troma in the first place? They make B movies. But even compared to other films such as Class of Nukem High, Poultrygeist, Cannibal the Musical, Romeo and Juliet, this one has barely any plot. Even Sharknado had at least something of a plot. This one, it just kind of starts, and then eventually they get to here's the conflict, and then they're like, that conflict's over. Then they do blah blah blah, they do whatever they want for a while, then another conflict. That doesn't mean the movie is bad per se, but certainly from an outsider looking in to people, this is for other people, not for me. So people who are looking in at this for the first time and aren't used to these types of movies, aren't used to B movies from the 80s or exploitation films where plots were very much a third thought, not even a second thought, more a third or fourth thought. It can be quite I can't think of the right word. You get my point, though, right? For certain people, this will not be their kind of movie. The humor, though, is fantastic. I talked about the whole blind thing, and I already talked about humor slightly, but the humor alone makes this movie worth watching. The characters, they are literally just cut-out characters for the bad guys, and they acknowledge it. And I know, the argument acknowledging your flaws doesn't make them right does apply, but this movie, it actually kind of works. They acknowledge that they're literally comic book villains. They acknowledge that, we are evil. Like, they literally acknowledge, like, yeah, we kill people because, well, we're trying to open a chemical plant and we'll kill the hippies who say no. It's so over the top is what this movie is. Everything in it is so over the top that it somehow works. And I was laughing and smiling the entire way through. But at the end, the ending, there's a huge chase scene at the end. It kind of did go on too long. So the movie does have problems. But the characters, like the main ones, like Claire and Melvin, and like just the other characters you meet, they're all likable. I really think these characters are great. Heck, Toxie was so popular, he got his own cartoon. No, I'm not making that up. Toxic Crusaders, look it up. Acting? The acting is exactly what you would expect from this kind of movie. It's all cheesy, hammy, over the top, or it's unbelievably bad to a point when even I'm like, dude, put some effort in. But that's really the best way to put it. The people who play like Toxie and the girl who plays Claire and the people who play like the bad guys in particular are the best. They're literally doing the whole like like doing the whole like they're just literally personifying the ultimate like 30s cartoon villain, like wearing like a top hat and a black cloak. Like they're essentially living incarnations of those kinds of characters, and it's hilarious. The main bad guy in this movie is essentially Boris from Rocky and Bullwinkle in human form, and not live action form. You know what I mean? I hope. He is just that kind of over the top, just I'm so evil bad guy, and it works. Special effects. The movie is shockingly quite good with its effects. Yes, it's very cheesy and very fake looking, but it's still got that charm. It's got the charm that the first one had, except more now. Because as years pass, things get better. The Toxic Avenger, you actually see him talking a lot more, and the mask actually kind of is now able to work with that. The scenes where he's fighting people, and like, one thing I love about trauma movies is they're always super creative with how they kill people. This movie is no exception. Because, well, because what happens, like, we have a man who is essentially forced into a wheelchair and then crushed inwards until he gets cut in half, essentially. We have a swordfish being used as a katana, starfish being used as throwing knives, and a sawfish, which turns into an actual chainsaw. No, I am not making this up. We have, as I mentioned, a man being essentially boiled alive in a hot tub. We have people just being run over by a truck. It's just so campy and over the top. And then there are some shots which I kind of wonder how they did. Like, they have cars exploding. They have buildings being blown up. And it actually looks really good. And I get they probably just actually blew up an old car or an old building. It's just, for a movie with this low a budget, you don't think that's something they would do. But they did. And it's awesome. But again, once again, I need to state this. Some people will not like this movie because of how bad it looks. They will not be able to watch these kinds of movies because it's just so fake and just so bad. Also, if you are squeamish, do not watch this movie. I'll cover that when I get to recommendations, but there is a lot of gore, a lot of intestines. Like, a man has the back of his head punched and his brain ripped out. It's goofy, but there are people who can't watch that kind of stuff, and I get it. I get it. But if you can't stand this, do not watch Poultrygeist under any circumstances, okay? Even I thought that was kind of excessive. Still awesome, though. Music's great. They have this awesome rock theme for the Toxic Avenger, which I really wish I knew who wrote it. I might just look it up after, because I want to download it, because it's super catchy. The background music is actually quite good. And especially in like some of the more like intense scenes, they kind of like in the chase scene, they kind of have this like doom 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 doom. Like it sounds almost like something you would hear in a James Bond movie, which my guess is that's what they were trying to spoof. Cinematography and lighting, it's all fine. Editing, music is all fine. When it gets down to it, can I recommend the Toxic Avenger Part II? Oh yeah! 4 Raptor claws out of 4. But, and this is very important to I need all of you to hear this. This movie and this company, as I said before, they don't care who they offend. They don't care what lines they cross. They don't care who they step on. They don't care how disturbing or graphic or sexually explicit or how much gore are in their movies. They don't care. And if you have a problem with that, don't watch this movie. Don't watch any film from Troma. Now, if I had to guess, most of you watching this video would be a fan of Troma. Or you're just a fan of me, which is awesome. That means I actually have people who like watching me. That's great to hear. Yeah, but this movie, it's racist, it's kind of sexist, it's graphic, it's sexually graphic, it crosses all the lines, but at the same time, it's clearly a work of love. You can tell them, Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hayes, Lloyd Kaufman did actually write this, according to the opening credits. You can tell they cared so much for this movie. They wanted to give it everything. You can, I said the same thing when I watched the first Toxic Avenger. You can tell that this movie meant a lot to Lloyd Kaufman and to Michael Hayes. And you can tell that they wanted to do everything they could to make the sequel just as good as the first one. And guess what? You succeeded. The Toxic Avenger 2 is now officially on my list of the top 5 favorite movies I have. And on that list as well is The Toxic Avenger. Also on that list is Sharknado and Logan. And as for the 5th movie, that one kind of keeps changing, so I kind of just keep that one open. But yeah, Lloyd Kaufman, thank you for such an amazing movie. If you guys like bad movies, if you like cheesy superhero movies, watch The Toxic Avenger and The Toxic Avenger Part II. If you like movies that are so bad they're good, watch The Toxic Avenger Part II. If you like gory, over-the-top splatterfests akin to things like Grindhouse, Machete, Hobo with a Shotgun, watch The Toxic Avenger Part II. If you think you'd like a movie about the first ever superhero from New Jersey, watch The Toxic Avenger. And then watch The Toxic Avenger Part II. Now, here's the thing. I have heard that the 3rd and 4th movies just kind of go off the rails. But I'm still going to watch them eventually. Here's the thing why I didn't watch The Toxic Avenger Part II for the 100th episode. I can't exactly just go to HMV or Best Buy and buy these. Where I bought these two were at Fan Expo. This was like 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago. I don't even know when I bought this. And this was at Fan Expo for 2017. Because Troma has a booth there and stuff like that, and that's where I often buy their movies. And I need a haircut. So it's kind of hard for me to get my hands on the movies, and I know that most of them are on their YouTube channel, but I really like owning an actual copy of it. And now that all 4 are on Blu-ray, I want to own them on Blu-ray. But I'll check out Amazon, or I might just go to their website and buy the other 2. Because you know what, you guys? If you're a fan of 80s B-movies, you have to watch these. If you're a fan of So Bad It's Good movies, you have to watch these. If you're a fan of Troma, you've seen these if you're a fan of Troma. You cannot be a fan of Troma and have not seen these. Okay? You guys, when I started this channel years ago, I did it not even because I had a love of movies. I did it because Sharknado was a thing. And I wanted to talk about how much I enjoyed it. And for 149 episodes later, we are sitting here talking about yet another So Bad It's Good movie. Nothing's changed, folks. And you guys, I really I know YouTubers will often kind of go like, oh, I want to thank all of you because you brought me this far, and often they mean it. You guys have no idea what it means to me that you guys watch these. You have no idea what it means where I can sit down and talk about a bad movie that people haven't seen, and then somebody goes, yeah, I love that movie, I thought I was the only one. Or this one guy, I don't actually know him, but he just seems like a great guy. On my the Transformers the movie review, he wrote this almost page-long comment, which he's like, you know what? I like this review. A lot of people will either kind of love it because they were born and raised in the 80s and therefore nostalgia, or they're an idiot who's going, oh, of course it's based off a toy line. But he said, no, but you gave it a fair shake for what it truly was. I don't get a lot of comments on my videos, and I'm not asking you guys to keep commenting on every video, but the comments I get, I love. I still love going to my Mr. Conductor's Gold Dust video, that reaction video, which has almost 70,000 views, I don't know how, and reading all the comments on there. People who go like, okay, this guy actually is a lot less fake than most reaction channels, or, oh, this guy sucks, he's doing reaction videos. Or in my Thomas reviews, when people are like, okay, dude, you need to watch this one, it's actually kind of good. And I'm like, okay, I will. And I watch it, I'm like, that sucked! No offense to you people. But, yeah, thank you so much for 150 episodes. And I don't know where I'd be without you guys. And I really want to thank you for it. But until next time, you guys, this is the Media Raptor, saying keep cool, and I will see all you dino dudes around. Later.
Down the lane they're strolling 2 by 2, holding hands, they smile like we used to do. We're with them, one and only. I've forgotten I was lonely. Oh, how I wish that here were there with you. All the days of sadness, they seem so needless now. Yes, it's taken me this long, long time to see. It's true that my dreams keep drifting